Yo, JD here, and we are back with some league racing on 2019, my first race of this year, and it's been a nice 3-week break, but I'm really happy to be back racing once again competitively. And we're at the Hungaroring here today, and just doing a couple laps on the mediums here, just to really get used to the track, because we're dodging quite a bit of traffic and almost destroyed our car on a couple of occasions there. But I can confirm for this strategy, it's a one-stop, and you really want to be going to the soft to the medium. So you can see this is my first lap on the soft here. A very good lap so far, but we just lose the car there. And that was really disappointing because I actually was purple in that first sector, and it was a really good lap at that point. So we've got to go for a second lap now, which is not really what I was planning to do, but I put enough fuel in the car just in case that happens, because it's pretty much a one-shot qualifying. Because you could start on the ultra soft, which a couple of people at the top have, which the guy who currently is number 1 has done that, but it's pretty much impossible to do a one stop from there. So it's much quicker to do this strategy here, where you only have to make one stop, soft to medium, and this is the lap I've done here, which I was actually pretty happy with, because coming into this race, prepared quite well of course, but in practice I just wasn't really quick in qualifying. I think I did a 15 once only in practice before, where Simon and Surprise were doing 15.5s pretty comfortably and pretty consistently. So I really wasn't confident for this, but my last 2 races I have qualified in the top 3 each time, so I was trying to take that into here. But my race pace, as usual, was pretty competitive around here. I think it was definitely more competitive than it was at Germany, where I managed to get P2 last time, which was pretty fortunate, but we've been pretty consistent so far. I think we've had 4 podiums in a row now, so the consistency there. Just really need to put that race together where I can just get that win, which is really what I'm targeting. I want nothing but a win. But coming across the line here now, it's a pretty decent lap. We managed to come P3 at the moment with a 15.8. And I can confirm that was enough for P5 on the grid. But the P1 and P2, they actually qualified on the ultra soft tyres. So really, I would say that's pretty much a P3 on the grid, with Simon and Surprise just ahead of me. And I was really happy with that effort, to be honest. I was not really expecting that. I was expecting the likes of Joe and Snazzy, even Martin, to out-qualify me there. So I was really happy with that. And I've been working on my starts quite a bit this season. Well, in the past few weeks anyway, and in practice I was getting some very good starts. So we've got 5 lights here, waiting for them just to go out just now, getting a decent-ish launch, but Joe has just got an absolutely insane start in that Ferrari. And I was saying to Martin here, just not to get any damage going to turn 1, so I'm taking the outside route. Few cars blocked on my inside, but that we just lose a couple positions on the inside now. We lost the position to Joe, Martin and Snaz even. We lost 3 positions at the start here now. And Martin's actually got damage from there. He's not actually talking at this point because I actually unfortunately turned off the party chat audio for this one. He's got damage, so he's actually going to let me go. So it's really gutting for him, because we're fighting for the constructors in this league as well. I think the individual title of Veloce Surprise, he's quite a distance up front, so it's going to be quite hard to catch him up. But he's got damage there, so thankfully, or respectfully, he actually let me pass there, and he's had to make a pit stop at the end of that one. So we're back into P7 now, so made up 1 position from losing 3 at the start. That's a really not a good start, but we've got a little bit of action here now, as VSR Simon is now negotiating the ultra soft runners, which I think Surprise has already got past 1. And I think Gorge Crab is still in the lead as well. And you can see that has rain now. You can see the rain has actually started to fall. And it wasn't scheduled for 20 minutes or so, but it's already started to fall after lap 3. So that means there's going to be a bit of strategy in this race. Normally I'm not too much of a fan when it goes from dry to wet. Normally I prefer if it's just fully dry or fully wet, either one of the two. But it's the same for everyone. Got to keep on with it now. As Saz even has now got past Dutchman, TR Dutchman is on the ultra soft, and now is going past Gulch Crab. You can see Joe is in the lead of this race. He started behind me, and he got an absolutely insane start. So we've got to make up some positions now, going down the inside of Renault, trying to not make any contact with him whatsoever. And the thing I took away from this, from looking back at this footage, I think I was just too cautious in this first stint. I just need to be a much more aggressive, because see, I'm quite far behind the lead at this point as well, quite a way behind, back in P6, where really I should be that group where you can see Simon and Joe and Surprise, I think, is already there. We've got made a little bit of contact from Reynolds there, who's on the medium tyre, and it looks like he's actually come on to touch. So we've got to defend going down this left-hander in case, well, if we get passed by him, that's really not what we want at this point at all. And now we've really got to get past Gorchcrag as quick as possible, because if we don't get past him within half a lap here, we're going to be losing too much time. You can see, I say it's a good 3 to 4 seconds at least has got me at the moment. So we're going to try and make Gorchcrag a little bit nervous going to here. Not really an overtaking opportunity, but just trying to make him a little bit wary. And now I was planning on attacking into this corner to just extend the corner, go down the inside, almost making contact, which forces him, scares him off the track really. And now we managed to get the move done. And I was pretty happy I did that, because I couldn't really afford to wait until the end of the lap, because we're just losing too much time. You see, it's almost 2 seconds to Snazzy even now, and the leaders are another 2 seconds ahead of him. So we really got to get on with it now. But for Lotche's surprise, unfortunately for him, he actually disconnected, and now he's just rejoined once again. So he's lost so much time, and now we've got the leaders of Joe, Simon, and Snazzy even all together. That which promotes us to P4, if I can get my words right together. That promotes us to P4 in this race, and that was really unfortunate for him. You can see how much time he's lost behind us as well. And the two ahead of us have actually pitted, with Simon continuing on. And I was just taking it quite easy in this first stint. I was trying to save fuel and ERS as much as possible. But we're going to go on the intermediate tyre now. And hopefully this should be quite a smooth pit stop. So just putting our tyres on now. And we've had to wait an absolute eternity for that. And that was really frustrating, because you could see how far Surprise was behind me coming into the pits. But there's a thing in this game where it just holds you there unnecessarily for a long time. And look how much time Surprise has gained on me in the pits there. He's gained, I'd say, a good 2 or 3 seconds there. So I'd say I lost a good 2 or 3 seconds in that pit stop, which is pretty annoying. But it is what it is. You just really got to just get on with it now. And just pushing these intermediate tyres, which I did a fair amount of practice on, so I was pretty good, well, pretty happy with this. But you can see what the gap's going to be. It's 4.1 seconds to Joe now, and see the gap to Santi was probably 5.5 seconds, I'd say, to him as well. So just being too cautious in that first stint, not being that aggressive at the start, and I wasn't really pushing that first stint. I was just trying to save all my fuel and just take it easy, really, to be honest, whilst they caught the traffic. I was hoping to really cruise up to the back of them, but wasn't really the case. That's something I definitely need to work on. I just need to be a lot more aggressive in the first stint and make sure I stick with the leaders. We were going on this curb now. I've almost lost the car, and you don't really want to go on that curb in the Xero, which the track harshly reminded me there, and we've lost even more time, and now we've got Surprise catching back up again. And we really need to get to the rhythm of this now, because we've lost even more time. As Simon, he pitted a lap later than the leaders as well. So he's got slightly fresher tyres. But moving on to lap 15, I can confirm our pace started to look really good. And I think at this point in the race, we were the quickest car on track on the intermediate tyres. We managed to caught Joe by over 4 seconds in these laps as well. So the pace is really good. Started to drop Surprise behind us as well. And I think visibly we've actually started to close in on Snazzy Evening and VSR Simon as well. So trying to really claw back this disadvantage that we had through the pit stop and just trying to make up for lost time. But now we're pretty much stuck behind Joe, because this track is pretty much almost Monaco without the walls. It's so hard to overtake around here, and this straight isn't really particularly long. I changed my wings from 7 back down to 311, I think, 311 for the pit stop, and I've made sure I put it back to 7 because the track is actually due to dry again. So that's the reason why it says it there. But this lap here is pretty much the closest I stayed to Joe on these intermediate tyres. And it's just so hard to follow, because you've got the dirty air. Trying to take a nice tight line out here. Trying to give myself a good slingshot coming up this straight, which we could see we're gaining quite a bit of time through here now. As you said, just putting away a little bit from Surprise. And you see the leaders we're definitely closer than we were once we came out of the pits in the stint. So we're definitely making up some time with Sandy even. I'd say myself and Simon are probably the quickest on track in these conditions here. But we've just got to get past Joe. If we can get past Joe, while Simon's being held up by Snazzy Evening, I think we've got still a really good chance of winning this race, because at this point, I think I only had one warning in this race at this point. So penalties are pretty harsh round here. So if we could just have a clean race and get within 3 seconds of the leaders, I think there's a very good chance we could actually win this race. So despite losing a lot of time, I'd say, in that first stint, and losing 3 positions at the start and just not getting past the ultra soft runners that quickly, the race is still on here, and I was just kicking myself, because if I was with those leaders right now, that would just be a perfect position, and that's something I just really need to work on, making sure I'm with the leaders in the first stint rather than just try and chase down a gap that's really too big for the end of the race. But you can see on the straight we're not really gaining that much time here, so he's probably running quite a similar downforce to me in the straight line, so it's going to be very hard to overtake Joe here. But now, skipping on to basically the start of lap 19, Surprise has actually caught me up, because I just can't get past Joe at this point. It's literally just impossible to get past him now. So we'll go through here now, and there's actually a yellow flag, and Simon has actually gone into the wall, and he's actually had an incident with Snazzy Evening. You can see how much time Snazzy Evening's actually lost, and I can confirm Simon actually overtook Snazzy Evening through a legal overtake. He tried to let him back through, but then they made contact, and then Simon has actually gone off, and that's his race completely over now. And for me, I'm actually P4 in this championship. Joe, myself and Simon are actually quite close for P2 in the championship, so that actually really helps me out for championship wise. As I said, Surprise is going to be very difficult to catch, but P2 in this championship is certainly up for grabs as well. But we're coming up to the back of Joe, and it looks like he's starting to struggle really badly with his tyres now. I think he pitted only a lap earlier maybe, but you can see he's just visibly, he's struggling so much. He almost comes onto the back of the track of us. We're going to go down the inside, get the nicer, a really firm move into the inside here, and now we're in P2 in this race. And I don't know if Snazzy Evening has any penalties or anything at all. Martin was talking to me all the time, but unfortunately, as I said, his communications actually turned off for this guy. I've been doing quite a lot of online races with people, and I actually turned off my party chat, so hopefully, well, I will be putting it back on for next race, as Joe now pits, because I think his tyres are just absolutely cooked at that point. We'll go skip on to the next lap, and now Surprise is actually pitted, because the track is now starting to dry now. And Martin, he already retired from this race. He kept on telling me to stay out, that the lap times are still really good. And now Snazzy Evening pits, and Martin, even without Martin, I felt it was best to actually continue at this point. And he said the tyres are still there, and the lap time was still there, still had the grip in these conditions, as DRS has been enabled now, which is really the tipping point. It's not clear cut if you need to actually pit at that point, but normally it's a good indicator that probably on this lap you need to come in. So we're going to stay on board for the rest of this lap here, and this is a very important lap in this race. But at this point in sector 1, the grip was still there. It felt really good, and Martin was looking at the sector times of Surprise and Snazzy Evening and other people behind me, Joe. He said I was still going quicker than them at this point, so I was still gaining time, and I could possibly come out in the lead, if not right behind Snazzy Evening. If it keeps going on this point in this lap, it was working in my favour, and I felt this was my chance now. This is my chance to get a win in this league. It's been a long time since I had a league race. Become so close on so many occasions, had a lot of second places in multiple leagues, but I felt this was now time. But the track now, coming into sector 3, we almost lose the car now, and the track is just completely, literally it is completely ready for dry tyres now. And I was really hoping that I actually still gained some time, but after that spin there, or almost spinning it into the wall, I knew that it might have been just a little bit too late. We probably should have come into the pits the lap before. Snazzy was only 16 seconds behind, and I think he gained 2 seconds on that lap after sector 2. So I was really hoping it was not, the damage wasn't going to be as big as I thought it was. But putting on the soft tyre now, not going the ultra soft, because normally on the harder compound, as the track is still quite damp, a harder compound is actually better in these conditions. As Snazzy Evening's already gone past, and you can see he just gained so much time, and Surprise is actually overtaking me as well. And yeah, that was that was really, really frustrating. I was actually ahead of Surprise, and you can see the gap to Saz even now is definitely a lot bigger than it was before. And I probably should have pitted the lap before. And that's not mine's fault at all. I probably would have continued anyway, even without him in the party. The strategy was working. It was just up until that sector 3. That's when we just lost literally just too much time. But now we got just a really, really silly penalty. That was my first penalty of the race. And that was on a corner where you literally would never expect to get a penalty. I was just driving a bit too hard because of 2.2 seconds behind Surprise. He, in fact, didn't have a penalty, Martin told me. So now I was starting to push. And at this point, since I had that penalty, I just decided to just completely go for it. And really, this is how I probably should be driving the entire race. Just going for it, just going gung-ho, making sure I stay with them. And I think we did this. I think if we didn't get held in that first pit stop and then probably pitted a lap before, I don't think there's any question that we could have definitely challenged for the win of this race. But this is the fastest lap of the race, which I always show in every single highlights video. You can see gaining hand over fist time on Fluctuate Surprise here, and the lead as well. It's just annoying of what could have been. If I probably 3 or 4 seconds, I reckon I should have been further up the road, probably even more. I think 2 seconds for that pit stop, and then I don't know how many seconds you want to call it for that lap. Well, a bit longer. It's anyone's guess really, but we can see we're just pushing absolutely flat out, really super committed to the track here. As I said, this is how I should be driving all the time really, rather than just be a bit too cautious in the first stint. But the start of the year is good. This would be 5 podiums in a row now. I think I've had 4 second places and I don't know how many third places, but I think we've done 12 races, 2 races I couldn't even attend. So it's only been 2 races where I haven't been on the podium. So that's pretty good for this league here. So you can see we come P3 in this race. Surprise didn't even have a penalty in the end. Got the quickest lap of the race, but a lot of positives to take out of that, but a lot of things to learn as well in terms of strategy. I definitely could have done better on strategy-wise, but I think I was quite unlucky being held in the pits, but I should have been closer to leaders and that would have avoided that completely. So hopefully you've enjoyed this race. It's a little bit of a longer one, but that actually does promote me to P3 in this championship, and P2 is well and truly on. So I'm definitely targeting that. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you had a good new year, and I'll catch you soon. Peace.